welcome to my battle sim. I just wanted to kind of go over the code and explain anything, and maybe you find it fun or play with it, or whatever you want to do. It's pretty simple, but so we make a wizard class wizard. Um, we initialize, sorry, and then we pass one variable called name to it. So we set its name as name. And then we have a bunch of default values for it. Magic multiplier is going to be part of a formula that multiplies the spell damage. I thought that that might be an easy way to do it if we, leveled up or something like that. And then we're going to give Wizard a list of spells. So we just make a new list. And then we add a spell, and we make an instance of Fireball. So and then we append Fireball to the spell list. So he's got a spell list. The first object on spell list 0 is, or the spell as object at spell list 0 is Fireball, or an instance of Fireball. And then we have Fireball. It's got a level. It's got a base damage. So we just have a couple attributes for it. Then we have a method for animating, and this would be like if we were making a game that actually had graphics, then we could put, an animation here. We could, pass a target to it. We could say, fireball animation to target goblin or enemy or whatever. And we could have it draw a line and move the sprite across the screen and maybe like explode when it hits a goblin or something like that, which isn't really that hard to do. You just need to like load an image, and then when you have a um, when you have it collide with a goblin sprite, you can change the sprite or play like a little GIF or something like that. But anyways, that's for I just did a print, so you could do it there. Then we have Goblin class, which is kind of the same thing as Wizard. It just has a name. It also has a type, which we'll get to later. We have HP, attack, defense, and then we have a method called attack, and it takes an argument for a target. Which I should have probably done this with a wizard, like cast fireball at a target as well. But you'll see the actual goblin side of code in the main loop is a lot cleaner than the wizard one. So we run a damage calculation based on the goblin's attack and subtract the target's defense from it. So our defense is going to be 4 for the wizard. So it's going to attack the wizard. It's going to do 8 damage minus 4, so it's going to do 4 total damage. And then we just make a print statement, says the goblin does 4 damage to the target. And then we actually change the target's HP. Um, then we have a update function. It takes a list as an argument. And we're going to have two lists. We're going to have an enemy list and a player list. And where this update just checks to see if one of them's dead, or and also will print which enemies are still alive after checking if everything's dead. So we're going to use that a couple times. So we make a new instance of the wizard class, and we use player name to pass a name to it. Then we have two goblins, Redelk and Krituk. I use a random goblin name generator online. I don't know. Redelk seems pretty goblin-y, but Krituk, I don't even know. So then we have an enemy list and a player list. They're empty, and we're going to put the Goblin 1, we're going to append Goblin 1 to the enemy list and Goblin 2 to the enemy list, which is just add on to the end. And we're going to do the same thing for the player list and add the player. We have so we're going to we're going to say for I in enemy list. So we have Goblin 1 and Goblin 2 in the enemy list. And we're going to print their name and their type. So it's going to say uh, Redelk the Goblin has joined the battle, and I thought that that was important to have. That's why I put the type in the Goblin class, so you could say Redelk the Goblin. You know what you're fighting. Instead, it would just say Redelk joined the battle, and you wouldn't know what the heck a Redelk is. So then we're going to start our main loop. While true, if not enemy list, break. If not player list, break. This is the truthiness and falsiness of Python. If not enemy list means if there is nothing in the enemy list. If not enemy list evaluates to if there was nothing in it, then it would break, and then it'll break. But since we have two goblins in there and we have a player in our player list, it's gonna just pass over these. So yeah, if not enemy list is false because there's something in there. But certain things evaluate to true and false. You just gotta. It's just Python. There's just Pythonic little quirks. So we have a selector so we can determine what the player will do. We're going to use player list 0. We could wrap this entire thing in a like for loop, and we could say for player and player list, make decisions for it, run our battle calculations and stuff, and then do, the enemies after. But we only have one player, so I'm only going to worry about that for now. So we say 1 attack, 2 cast fireball, 3 flee. If selector is 1, we're going to run the damage calculation. We're going to take the player's attack minus the enemy's defense. And then because they have 8 defense and we have 4 attack, we said if it's less than or equal to 0, it's going to do 1 damage. So I think if you hit something, you should be able to do at least 1 damage. So and then we just print that out. The name deals damage calc to the enemy, or player does damage calc to enemy. The enemy's HP becomes the enemy's HP minus the damage calc, and then we update the enemy list. And remember, update enemy list checks if they're dead, and removes them from the list. And then if it's the enemy list specifically, it'll say that whatever enemy still remains in there. So if we kill one of them, it'll say the other one remains. If we deal damage but don't kill one, they'll both still remain. Where were we? Okay, right here. So now we have a cast fireball, and we're going to run a damage calculation a little bit differently. First here, we run the animation. So we're referencing the wizard in the player list, and we're referencing his spell list, and we're referencing the object at the beginning of his spell list, which is fireball, and then we're calling the animation method on it, which is just the placeholder for animation for fireball goes here. So we run a damage calc, fireball's base damage, player times the player magic multiplier. So the base damage is 10, the magic multiplier is 1.2, so it's going to do 12 damage. And we dealt 12 damage to the enemy. So enemy's HP equals enemy's HP minus the damage calculation, and then we're going to update the enemy list to see if they died, which in this case they are because they have 12 HP. So then it's going to pop them out of the list. Well, not pop, but remove. Different methods. It's going to remove them from the list, and it's going to reflect that. So then we have the third option, which was to flee. So we will flee like a coward, and then we will remove enemies from the enemy list. So that's what this does. For I and enemy, okay, so this is the enemy's turn to attack now. For I and enemy list, so for each enemy, if player list, this is one of those truthy falsy statements again. If player list, if there's a player in player list, if there's an object in player list. We don't want to display attacks or try to do anything if there's no player, right? Because the player's dead. It's game over. So we're going to call the attack method on I, which is each goblin's attack method in the enemy list. So I dot, where it is here. And then we're going to run the damage calculation. print it, and then we're going to assign the target's HP. So, and we are actually using the player list 0 at index 0, so the first object in player list, which is our wizard. And then we're updating our player list this time, not our enemy list, to see if our player has died. Because we can pass the list and determine what list, and it checks the entire list to see if something has an attribute of HP at 0 or below. And then we say for I in player list, we print our player has however much HP they have remaining. Then we say if not enemy list, which is if enemy list is empty, if enemy list evaluates to false, um, or just think of it as if enemy list is empty. If selector is not equal 3, so if there are no enemies and flee is chosen, then we can say, I'm sorry, if our last decision was not to flee, then we can say we won the battle. Because we're not gonna win a battle if we flee. I mean, we might win at life, but we're not winning the battle. So, yeah, we say the player won the battle, and then if the player list is empty, if we got defeated, because our update method takes and removes the player from the list if we die, then we say game over. So let's give it a try. Let's name our wizard Zach. Zach is going to die first. So he does 1 damage. It says that you can see here they join the battle. What will you do? You make a decision. I dealt 1 damage. They both remain. They took their turns. I have 12 HP remaining. I will attack again. Deal 4 damage. I have 4 HP remaining. Let's do it one more time. Okay, so I got hit too many times. Redel dealt a killing blow 4 to me, and I was defeated, and the game is over. So we broke the loop. So let's see what Zach the Wizard's gonna do this time. This time he'll cast Fireball. And you can see, like, this is when we trigger our Fireball animation. Sorry, my stupid headset just turns off. Um, so we dealt 12 damage to Redalk. Redalk was defeated. It says Krutuk remains, so we can see that we properly removed uh, Redalk from the enemy list. And then Krutuk still deals 4 damage, and then you can see it's updated. That goblin's attack target method is working. So we will cast Fireball again, and I deal 12 damage. He was defeated. I have 16 HP left and won the battle. So that's all working properly. And then let's do it one more time. Zach chose flee and fled like a coward. And we could actually put like a, like a random number generator or something like that in 3. We could say like, rand range 0 10. If it's above 5, 50% chance that, or just like do a 1 and 2, and if it's like a 1, then you made it, like you got to escape. Or like if it's like a 3, then you got to escape. Or you could make some other kind of formula for that. But well, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you maybe learned something. If you got any questions or anything, let me know. And thanks, and have a good one.